ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति 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 Time is up. 1 minute more. So after 2 weeks, new chapter, Drigdrishya Viveka 1 forgotten. Hmm? Okay, we will start. Last chapter, with the 5th verse, we ended with the truth, not the fact, with the eternal truth that there is an ultimate eternal seer within each one of us, or we may say that which we really are. Okay? Now, some questions may come with this understanding. If consciousness is everywhere, if it is eternal, then why is it that certain things appear inert and certain other things are conscious? We will be using insentient and sentient more often. It will come in the flow. So he's explaining before. Insentient means jada, inert. Sentient, conscious being, chaitanya. So why is it that certain things are sentient, certain things are insentient if consciousness is all pervading? When a person dies, then also consciousness is there or not? If consciousness is the ultimate seer and it illumines everyone in this creation, then there is why there is difference in the nature of human beings at all? Why all are not existing as consciousness? Who is the one who is undergoing the experience of samsara if everyone is the seer? You might or might not have got these questions, but these questions are relevant to go ahead, to move ahead with opening altogether a new revelation. Sixth verse. Chit chaya aveshata buddho bhanam dhihatu dvidha stita eka aham kriti अन्यस्यात् अंतःकरणरूपिणे. The reflection chit chaya, the reflection of consciousness enters into the intellect. Aveshata buddha, buddhi, huh? Okay. Reflection of consciousness enters into the intellect and energizes the whole inner equipment. Antakarana Rupini. Indeed, this has a twofold structure. Eka ahamkrita. One part is the ego. The other is the form of an inner instrument, antakarana, everywhere, and is reflecting of everything that is manifested, gross as well as subtle. Now, for the first time ever, apart from 3 or 4 sadhakas, or maybe maximum 5, we are going to learn. Till now, we have learned, we have contemplated, meditated, conceptually understood what is consciousness, 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 Brahman, Brahman. Now, today, we are going to understand how, at the microcosm level, we jivas, what is the process, how the jivas are equipped, energized with the consciousness. Okay, so this session, the purpose is to seal the understanding beyond any doubt at the end of the session that yes, we are conscious beings, we are pure Chaitanya. After having understood exactly, like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, with that clarity, understanding how the jiva, when he is born, how he absorbs the consciousness, and when he dies, what happens to the consciousness, because that was one of the questions. When the body is dead, where the consciousness goes. Sharp focus. Chit chaya. Chaya is reflection, we know. Chit, consciousness, reflected consciousness. You know what happens at night? What we see as moonlight is actually sunlight only. The sunlight at night reflects and shines on the moon, and the moon reflects the same on the creation, illumining this entire creation. Similarly, through a process, pure consciousness, like the sunshine, reflects sunshine, lights up the moon through a process, and then upon lighting up, the moonlight reflects the light to the creation. Similarly, through a process, pure consciousness is absorbed by the intellect, being the subtlest and the purest of the antakarana. The pure consciousness is absorbed, or we can say pure consciousness illumines intellect, or intellect absorbs consciousness. Same, one and the same. The result is the same. The intellect absorbs the pure consciousness, and upon absorption, the consciousness at the intellect level becomes the reflected consciousness because it has got the pure consciousness reflected, fallen into it, and upon that, like from the mirror, the light comes into the mirror, and from the mirror, you can see the radiation of light. Exactly, the buddhi absorbs the pure consciousness, and then thereupon the buddhi reflects the same consciousness to all other antakarana equipments, then senses, body, etc. One more thing, not only that it reflects, it is reflected consciousness. If you see, if the pool surface is very clear, or the surface of wall with tiles etc is too much clear, crystal clear, then we can say apart from the surface of the pool or the surface of the wall, clean wall, absorbing the light, sometimes if the surface is so pure, the wall is so clean that you can even see a little bit of that sun itself in the pool surface. Not only the light of the sun, even the sun itself is seen. Dhundla sa sign. Similarly, on you can see some the light itself, the sun itself you can see. What does it denote? We will come to it later. Keep it flagged as of now. Imagine a fire. Okay, not the electric kettle or the electric pan, but the fire in the olden days. And on the fire, water is kept on a vessel. And on the water, vegetables are poured. The heat is generated from the fire. The water boils and the vegetables are heated up. Now we will go one by one, and reach to the source. Does the vegetable have the nature of heat in itself? No, because once the fire is put off, the water gets cold, the vegetables get cold. Next, deeper. Does the water have the heat nature in itself? No, because after the fire is put off, the water also gets cold. Similarly, the vessel also. But when it goes to the fire, when we ask that the fire has the nature of heat, yes, its very nature is that. And like the vegetable needed the water needed the vessel needed the fire. Does the fire need something else to heat up that? No, it has no previous cause. Its very nature is fire. right? Very clear. Exactly. We will go from the grosses, like first we started from vegetable and reached to the fire. Body being the grossest. Consciousness is borrowed by the body from the sensory system. The sensory system borrows consciousness from the mind. The mind borrows consciousness from the reflected consciousness. The reflected consciousness, pure consciousness falling on the mirror intellect, reflected. The reflected consciousness has borrowed consciousness from the pure consciousness, the eternal seer. And pure consciousness does not have a prior cause from where it has derived its consciousness. That is why Brahman is described as birthless. It has no previous cause. Every cause must have an effect, and vice versa. Every effect should trace its origin to the cause. And there is one causeless cause, consciousness, Brahman, which was there, which is there, which will be there, irrespective of how many times the creation comes and goes. So we call in Hindi Ajay and Amar. So since it has no cause, it has no birth. Birth means what? What does it mean? From our birth, we can understand. At some point of the time, we are born. Before that, we are not there. With the fire example, it is proven that the consciousness has always been there, even before the time element, the space element, the five elements. All these things came into existence, and then the macrocosm, and then the microcosm, and you and me all came into existence. So there was no how you define birth with respect to a time element. I was born on such and such date, such and such month, such and such year. Consciousness has been there before this time element came. So it has no previous cause. It is beyond the time, beyond space, beyond five elements. So since something has no birth at all, it is Amar. It can never die. Birthless, deathless, changeless. Okay. Now we will go to that flagged off question. We talked about clear surface pool where where sometimes even the sun can be seen as such, other than the light of the sun. Exactly at the height of purity, at the height of intensity in the meditation, one can transcend even the process of how he has got the consciousness, how it is reflected on the intellect, and so on and so forth. Apart from feeling that I-ness, that awareness, one can transcend that awareness and also have a taste of what that original pure consciousness is. Those are all the sparks, the moments which gives you glimpse of what realization would be, where you will always be. Though the fact remains that even a Jivan Mukta's intellect has borrowed the pure consciousness, it has then the Antakarana mind has borrowed from the intellect, and then the senses have borrowed from the mind, and the body has borrowed from the senses. It is true for all, even a realized, but He transcends all these thoughts. He transcends all these things. He works with the reflected consciousness and through the process mind, senses, body, like you saw Shivanandaji's video. With all these things, the Jivan Mukta works for the world. Okay, he served so many as a spiritual master as well as a qualified doctor. For serving the body, mind, intellect equipments are necessary. Yes, all these things are there. With that, they serve the humanity and undertake bare minimum duty if they are grahasthas. Otherwise, that is also not required. If they are not, what is the concept of the Bhavati Bhikshandehi? If you are a pure sannyasi, you are not even supposed to bother about your 2 square meal. You go, you stand, if you get, you have. Otherwise, you don't have. And inwardly, you are aligned with that source pure consciousness always. Right? Now, there is an expression in the verse bhanam, appears conscious. The consciousness reflected of the surface of the intellect is of such a high quality. The first ever human equipment intellect coming into contact with the pure consciousness and getting absorbing the pure consciousness, how strong or how vigorous or how pure or how subtle it should be at that level. It is so pure that it makes the inert intellect appear to be consciousness. In one session, he told in the MBCA, or one session, only 2 of you caught that expression exactly. Others in the whole session, that point was missed. There is always a possibility of human being up to the point of realization thinking that his intellect is consciousness. That means he is so complacent, so contented with his buddhi, higher intellect, that he thinks that is all. Because the intellect, there his spiritual evolution stops. At the penultimate level also, it stops. He is not able to realize. You have to transcend this medium of intellect also. Okay. So there is a possibility of taking this, assuming this intellect to be consciousness itself. Okay. Like Bharata was so absorbed in Rama that Bharata could be mistaken as Rama himself. Okay. So Bhanam appears conscious. This is the first result of the reflection of consciousness in the intellect. Now, consciousness, 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 consciousness. You have heard some 100+ times from him through the messages, through the sessions, through. Let us be clear today without any doubt, beyond any possibility of doubt, as to what this pure consciousness is. And he is going to explain to you what this pure consciousness is out of his subjective, intimate, intuitive experience, not from books. If such in some other master has described in a similar manner, he would have also described out of that. This is coming from the source. Take it today. Note it down in your diary for all times to come. What is pure consciousness? Or what is Brahman? It should not be left for ever and ever eternity as a theory, as a concept. Then you will never be able to attain it. You understand chemistry, you don't become chemistry. You understand mathematics, can play with mathematics, you don't become mathematics. Consciousness should not be left like that. Clear understanding, but not no experience, no use. Better is that beggar or the daily worker who happily does his work from the morning to evening, has no clue of what this consciousness or Brahman or Atman or realization is. It happily has the meal and sits with the family and sleeps. Better is that person than this person who understands consciousness but can never experience consciousness. Miserable is that state. He may not realize it. The masters say, he says, take it, it is a miserable state if you cannot experience it, in spite of all the teachings of all the masters and whatever efforts he has been taking. Now, if we are all gathered here, he would have spent in this satsang 1 hour in asking only this question: what is pure consciousness? Then he would have gone into samadhi. Okay, answer, what is pure consciousness? Okay, now go back to the Puttaparthi last way from where we left last session. Seated in the Kulwant hall, Swami standing before us. The aura of that Satchitananda Parabrahman, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, and the Satchitananda Shiva self, they have merged together. It is total illumination within and without. And your eyes are closed. Mind is there? No way. Senses are there? No way. They may be there, but are you mindful of your mind, of your sense, of your intellect, of your body, of even yourself, or even Bhagavan for a split of a second? No, you transcend all those things. It's pure existence, consciousness. At that, it may be afterwards you may start enjoying Swami's enchanting beauty, Madhura Mohana. Okay, so Madhuram, enchanting beauty, Mohana, enchanting. You may start seeing his lips, seeing that mole, seeing that hair flowing, seeing that soft legs, softer than the butter. And you may get into all those things. But somewhere for some of you, some of us, one split of a second would have come during the darshan when we would have transcended all those things. From that state, let us come to understand what is this pure consciousness. As we started this session, incidentally, cause and effect. For the iPad, for the laptop, for the glass of water, for the iPhone, for the mouse, for the house, for everything, for me, for you, for our parents, their parents, their parents, and the world, the creation, for everything there is a cause. Except divinity, nothing is Swayambhu, nothing has come on its own. Everything has a cause, proven by science to a large extent. So, The creation, Jagat, also must have a cause. Now, don't understand this as an understanding of the understanding. You get into it, glide, close your eyes and glide into it. Creation must have a cause. We say the space came first, then the air, okay, and the last being the earth. The five elements came at some point of time. The time space came. Going by this logic, these five elements should also have a cause. And with the five elements, the universe, the creation has come into, sprung into being. The five elements must also have a cause. That means, like the mother should have existed before the child, then only there is a possibility of the child being born out of the womb of mother. Exactly, simple is that for the five elements to have emerged, for the creation should to have come up, there must be a cause. Prior to the creation, through which, through whom the creation, through some mystical process, the creation has come. The first to have come being space, the Omkara and the space, right? That something which ought to have existed prior to creation, from which the creation has come, call it pure energy, call it as pure Chaitanya, call it as pure existence, call it as only pure. Know that to be pure consciousness. How we can vouch this? Go back to the Parthi scene. Imagine, just imagine that you were insentient, you were Jada before that darshan, and you became sentient after the darshan. What has happened during that darshan? Or, to put in simpler words, what was there at all during that darshan? You had no clue of your fellow beings, you had no clue of Puttaparthi, you had no clue of creation, you had no clue of even the presence of Swami for fraction of a second. You had, leave alone the clue about your BMI. You had no awareness of anything else. That means there was no creation. Exactly as we have defined 2 minutes before, there was no creation for you. There was nothing at all. But something was there. Some pure, pure existence was there. And visualize, you open your eyes through that pure existence consciousness that has illumined you totally, and you have become sentient living being. There can be no more lucid explanation for you to understand what pure consciousness or Chaitanya or Atman or Brahman is. Now, all that you have to do, you must do, is to take it up in this meditation. Space meditation has been given to you. Satyam Jnanam Ananta meditation has been given to you. Chitradeepa meditation has been given to you. You have to only strive to get that glimpse of that fraction of a second, as explained in the Partidarshan. This is not in the Dridrisha Viveka, but we are going to talk about all the reflection he has described, he has explained to you in limited expression possible what is that original pure consciousness from where all the reflection has taken place. Today and forever, you should be very clear about this. And when one is in that state of pure consciousness, one is known as being in samadhi. Okay. Now we talked about bhanam. Now we talk about diya, the whole inner equipment. Now, first the reflection on the mirror intellect, and then to the antakarana. Up to here, Shankara and Vidyaranya Swamiji are same. Due to this difference, which we are going to understand now, it becomes very apparently clear that Dridrisha Viveka might not have been composed by Shankara, because there is a deviation from Shankara's concept here now. When it comes to the expression Dvida Sthita, the two parts of Diha, here Shankara says some is of our concept and Vidyaranyaji says different. And we will hold on to Vidyaranyaji because that is the Dridrisha Viveka, which we are learning. Shankara has also divided the Antakarana into two parts. Ahamkara and Buddhi. Ahamkara is pure Ahamkara, not the lower ego. Ahamkara and Buddhi, he has classified as one. And mind and the Chitta, he has classified as the other. The first one, the Buddhi and the Aham, Shankara says this as Aham Vritti. And the second group of mind and memory, he says Idam Vritti. Upadesha Sara, we learned all this Aham Idam. All of you have responded. You would have forgotten about that. Now consider Vidyaranya Swamiji's division. He keeps only this Aham, the ego part, the pure ego, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham. He keeps Aham on one side, and the Buddhi and the mind and the memory he keeps at the other side. So he has given the division as Ahamkriti and the balance of the Antakarana. The two parts. Now we are going to understand all about this, because next in the verse we are going to understand how the reflected consciousness is illumining the ego, the Aham first. Sun has light. Light is its own nature. We dealt with that a little while before. Getting more specific, let us say there is a bucket and water. The sunshine falls on the water. Water in the bucket looks illumined. Water gets all the qualities of light of the sun. Water also starts reflecting the light. It is said, one commentator on the Drisha Viveka has written, in some, he has not verified, he is just reproducing the words. In some temples of the Goa, the pujari of the temple projects the light of the sun on the deity through the mirror in the sanctum sanctorum as a tradition. Let us go deeper. The sunshine, pure consciousness. The pot or the bucket, the vessel, body. The water inside the pot, intellect. The sunshine is reflected. First, it falls on the water, intellect. And then there is a reflection, further reflection. You can say, you can see the reflection of the heat. Depending upon the purity of the water content, you can see clearer reflection or disturbed reflection. So, further, the intellect, up after getting the illumination of the sunshine, it further reflects on the mind, then the sensory systems. This is true for everyone without exception. Now, the question, if it is true for all, then why some are more evolved and some are less evolved? All are getting the same reflection. Sun is impartial, right? Why there is more evolved, less? All should be realized souls. We let us add one more thing into the bucket. Let us pour some mud into the bucket. Okay. The more you throw mud, the less will be the sunshine. And still lesser will be the reflection of the sunshine in the water. You throw a lot of mud, the water becomes opaque like the bucket itself. You don't see sunshine, or you see very negligible sunshine. Intellect has been bestowed. Discrimination is the same bestowed to all, saint and the sinner, by the Lord. But depending upon the quality of the mud which we take along with us. What is this mud content? Raga, Dvesha, Vasanas. Depending upon the mud we gather in us, the intellect is able to radiate or reflect the light, the illumination, consciousness more if there is very less mud. The intellect is able to reflect the consciousness as it is 100% without any dilution. If there is no raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, vasana, the intellect becomes impotent. It is not able to reflect the consciousness at all. If you are fully immersed, the bucket is full of mud, raga, dvesha. Swami, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, the eternal Koti Surya Samateja Swarupa, the pure consciousness enters the Sai Kulwant hall. All the devotees have the same intellect. his radiation, his divine glance. No one can actually say in the 20,000 gathered that Swami has not looked at me. Swami mysteriously, mystically, as the sunshine shines on all the buckets equally, on the entire creation equally, it illumines the entire creation equally. Swami is able to see through all those who have gathered in the Kulant Hall without any discrimination, without any difference. He illumines everyone. Depending upon the mud content in each one of us. To that extent, zero mud, 100% radiation, 100% aura merges. Disturbed thought of something which would have happened in the West Prashanti room, some fight would have taken with the family member, or something back home, you are in Parthi, some major problem has happened in Delhi or Andhra or Palakkad or Mysore or somewhere. Some issues, restless mind, you are coming and sitting, trying to see Swami, mud content is there. That aura merger is not taking place fully. Someday you say, it's the darshan was so fulfilling. Some days you say, yes, the darshan was good, okay. I could not somehow feel it because you are mud content inside. The villages full of Ragadvesha, Abhinivesha have no connection with the incarnation avatar. Some of the villages, not all, they are actually not able to have experience any merger of aura at all because it's full mud. That mud content is able to welcome some chief minister who comes there, not Swami. All spiritual disciplines, all these sessions, all the seva activities, the laborers are not going to die if you don't provide them food. Bhagavan will give them food from somewhere. Nobody is going to die. The children will grow up even without the Bal Vikas classes. Everything will go without you, without me. The creation will go as it is. All the activities given to us by Bhagavan through this supreme organization, Sai organization, is to for not only for the recipient, as much more and more for the one who are involved in some capacity or the other as the office bearer or as a sevak to clear the mud content within us. He has to go fast. He'll skip certain things. Okay. Now, certain point is missed out. He will give through uh, group this thing audio. Very important. Now we are going to see how we have differentiated. Vidyaranya Swamiji has differentiated the two division he has created: aham kriti, the aham ego, and the other antakarana. Now we are going to see how this aham, the ego, is going to absorb the consciousness, and how this ego aham is going to transfer the consciousness to senses. One of the most important, most often quoted was in all Vedantic sessions without exception. Stay focused. Chaya अहंकारयो ऐक्यम् तत्ताय पिण्डवत् मतम् तत् अहंकार तदात्म्यात् देह चेतनम chetanam agat. The identity of the reflected consciousness and the ego is like that between the fire and the heated iron ball. Then the ego, due to identification, transfers to gross body the same sentiency. When we look at the mirror, look at ourselves in the mirror, you cannot separate the mirror and the reflection of your face on the mirror. The two things you cannot segregate, they go together. Correct? The mirror is equal to, note, the mirror is equal to the reflected consciousness. Your face, original face, is the pure consciousness. The mirror is the reflected consciousness. And your face appearing on the mirror is the aham ego. Don't go to bad ego. Don't go by crude meaning of ego. Aham kriti, aham. Still separate from manas, buddhi, etc. Now, how the pure consciousness is transferred to that aham, that face, the ego. If we don't understand this, it would be as if, okay, the mirror intellect, it has absorbed the pure consciousness, finished. Even if the intellect has absorbed the pure consciousness, why that aham element has to come at all? The aham element, the aham kriti is lit up. It is become, it is enlivened, or it becomes sentient, because after getting the reflected consciousness in the intellect, that is further illumining this aham kriti, aham ego. Otherwise, this will be insentient, the aham. What is the process? An iron ball. It is round, it is cold. Fire, there is no shape. Iron ball is round, fire, no shape. Iron ball is cold, fire is hot by nature. When they two come into contact for continued time, for a long time, there is mutual transfer of properties from iron ball to fire and fire to ball. How? The cold ball takes up the heat of the fire, and the shapeless fire takes the round shape of the iron ball. You see in circus, in gimmicks, where a person is holding the tire with the fire and the other person jumps through it. When the tire is full of fire, you cannot see the tire at all. You can see only fire in a round shape. So here, the fire has taken the round shape of the iron ball. The iron ball, which is cold, which has taken the heat of the fire. Mutual transfer of properties has taken place. In Vedanta, it is superimposition. It is called Anyonya Adhyasa. Because of the anionium, because of coming together, the superimposition has taken place. The heat belongs to the fire, not to the iron ball. But being nearer to the fire for longer duration, the iron ball gets heated. And it does not appear as iron, it appears as the fireball, as the fire itself. The reflected consciousness. Now, the fire, you take it as you take it as the reflected consciousness. It has absorbed the pure consciousness already, as per the Chit Chaya previous verse. The fire is the reflected consciousness. The aham, the ego, is the ahankriti, is the iron ball. In proximity of the reflected consciousness, the ego appears conscious. The ego is enlivened. The ego has become sentient. And like the consciousness getting the fire, getting the shape of this thing, the consciousness appears to have got the qualities of the ego. He will explain, right? Spirit and the matter, they have come together, united, fused into one inseparable entity. Up to this point, this was okay. Having absorbed the reflected consciousness, the iron ball, the ego, for all practical purposes, keep this equation noted in your diary. Ego is equal to Jiva. Without the ego, whom we call as Jiva, he will be Atman. So, if having got the reflected consciousness of the from the fire, we the iron ball, if we had were appearing as fire, if we had not collected mud, if we had stayed up to that place, then as he taught in the first purpose of the human birth session, in the first birth itself, we would have elevated, we would have evolved, realized, finished, no second birth. It is like a chowkidar wearing the dress of a chowkidar for many days. One day he is able to pick up the dress of the police. If he starts thinking that he is the police himself, then problem. He is answerable, accountable for his actions, assuming wrongly that he is the police. Similarly, having absorbed the fire reflected consciousness, the ego, if instead of being grateful that Lord Almighty through some process has given me the Chaitanya, bestowed me the fire quality, bestowed me the illumination, if instead of being grateful and spending the life worshipping the Lord or spending the life in meditation, Shavana Manana Nidhyasana to reach to the source, if having got that, if the jiva starts thinking that I am all, now that I am enlivened, I am conscious entity, forgets that he has, this is only a superimposition, he has got the quality of the fire, he cannot become the fire. He forgets that, like the acting president, by virtue of being sitting in the throne, in the seat, he he assumes that he is the president. He doesn't want to leave the seat at all. Like that, if the jiva, when the jiva forgets that he has only got the qualities of the fire in him, and he should be grateful for that, be humble and be in prayers. Instead of that, having enlivened through by the reflected consciousness fire, the jiva thinks that I am now conscious, I am everything. Then the aham becomes ahankara. The big I becomes small I. Small I will get along with get its siblings of raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. And the cycle never ends. The transmigration never ends. The cycle of birth and death goes on. He had explained this too. Sometime it will take today because a very, very huge session. He had explained this in detail to three of you. He is sharing it with others now. The process, go back to, incidentally, he had given a prelude to that. He told you, you think that you are an insentient, inert human being just before that darshan. After that darshan, only you have got enlivened. So that will help. That is helpful now. Think. Think for a moment. Though there is nothing outside the pure canvas, for easier understanding, this is not explained in any book, any internet, nowhere in the world. He has not read. Think for a moment that you are lying dead, inert. Your body, your mind, your intellect, your senses, nothing is active. Inert, leave the word dead, you are insentient, inert, lying near a pool. Of course, the pool is part of the pure canvas. You are lying, you are part of the pure canvas. Where you are lying, that mud is part of the pure canvas. Nothing can be outside the pure canvas because it is anantam. Right? Now you have to get up and live your life. Out of the whole equipment, intellect is the subtlest and the purest equipment because in the intellect he has bestowed you the discrimination which he has not given to other species. So if something is qualified to absorb the consciousness, it is your intellect. The subtlest, the purest, not affected by ragadvesha, not going to be affected by ragadvesha ever in the future also. In all your births, your pure intellect remains pure. Always. Otherwise, you will never get self-realization. If that also gets contaminated with your ragadvesha. What happens? Around you is the pure canvas, pure consciousness, energy. Undoubtedly you are also that pure consciousness, but still you are insentient, you are inert, you have not been illumined, you are not conscious. So he took the example of oil and trace paper. He said, like the trace paper put in the oil, or more easily when the the gulab jamun, before becoming the gulab jamun, that whatever it is made of, prior to putting it on the essence, like the trace paper or gulab jamun, whatever you can call, when it is dipped in the oil, it becomes so full of oil that you can hardly make out that there is anything separate as trace paper. It is full oil. Like the gulab jamun, In and out, it is the pure full essence. Exactly in the same way, your intellect is the first thing to get the grace of the pure canvas, pure energy, pure consciousness. It the pure consciousness envelops your intellect, or your intellect absorbs the pure consciousness. It is the same thing. It is absorbed, it is total absorbed, that pure canvas, pure consciousness. And then the intellect goes and lights up your aham, your ego first, and your aham has now got sentient. I am conscious human being. From there, there is further transference to your senses, body, and your inert you, the inert being, has got up. You have become a conscious human being. Exactly, you were the iron ball, the pure canvas, pure consciousness. Now, for understanding purpose, of course, in the fire iron ball, the fire is not the pure consciousness; it is the reflected consciousness. Now, the sentiency chain in the jiva, pure consciousness, sakshi, eternal seer, reflected consciousness, the ahamkriti, ego, the antakarana, the sense organs, the gross body, and the object. This seven is the chain of the sentience in the jiva. These two verses are most important. Next two will flow automatically. Most of you have to listen to it again. Next. अहङ्कारस्य तदात्म्यं चिच्छाया देहसाक्षिभिः सहजं कर्मजं भ्रान्ति जन्यं च त्रिविधं क्रमात्. The association of the aham, I, aham kriti, aham vritti, has been explained. Three kinds of association with the aham has been explained in this verse. The aham with the pure, with the reflected consciousness, aham with the gross body, aham with the pure consciousness witness. The aham with the reflected consciousness has been explained as sahaja. The association of the aham with the gross body has been explained as karmajam, through karma. The association of aham with the pure consciousness has been explained as Bhranti. It is just a Brahmai. It is untruth. How? Between the I and the reflected consciousness, it is Sahaja. It is natural. As he explained, that if there is a mirror reflected consciousness, and if you stand there, your face has to be there in the mirror reflected consciousness. You cannot see the face also and the mirror also as separate. It is not possible. So the association of the aham, your reflected face, and the mirror, the reflected consciousness, it is natural, sahajam. It is always there. Aham and the body, it is due to karma, karmajam. Due to the karma, you are again and again taking birth. If there is no karma, residual karma left over, if your sanchita karmas are rendered important like roasted seeds, as we have studied in the karma theory, you are not born, then there is no possibility of getting this aham vritti. So aham with the gross body is there due to the karma. Third one is interesting. The I feeling with the pure consciousness. There is no relationship with aham with the pure consciousness. There is no relationship of ego with the pure consciousness. Either if you talk about any relationship, the ego can associate only with the reflected consciousness, which is sahajam, or one can transcend ego, one can leave the ego totally and exist as pure consciousness. There can be no ego as well as pure consciousness. Both of them existing together is not possible. He says it is Bhranti Janyam. The aham was never in bondage. Please note, it was never in bondage. It gets never liberated. You, the jiva, who has the iron ball mistook that I am the fire. You, the jiva, has bound yourself due to your mistaken notion that I am the consciousness. I am everything. I am all in all. I am supreme. So you, the jiva, has to come out of that notion. You only get liberated. The aham in you was never bound. So there is no question of liberation. You got into a misapprehension. So you have to come out of that. When one gets free from I, one cannot or one is not able to say I or me or my or mine. Why he is writing now also he says why he is writing he shall, he shall, he shall, he shall. You put a bullet on him, he cannot say I is gone. Tata, bye bye, see you, finished 2011. No I. So this bhranti, this ignorance, what is the antidote for this? What is the treatment for this? This bhranti or brahmai or ignorance can be corrected only by the reality, which is knowledge that you are. In reality, upon realization, you transcend the fire, you transcend, though you are getting enlivened only through reflected consciousness. Be very clear about it. The Jivan Mukta is also illumined only through reflected consciousness. But upon realization, upon getting freed from this notion of the ego, you transcend the thoughts of this fire and iron ball, the reflected consciousness and the ego and the senses and the body. You get free from the thoughts, the clutches of all these things. They function as autonomous, independent units themselves for the Loka Kalyanam, for the benefit of the humanity. You get beyond the fire, you get beyond the iron ball, you get beyond the mirror intellect, you get beyond the bucket of water, you get beyond the mud, you get beyond the bucket itself, you get beyond the creation. You exist in union with the pure consciousness, Brahman. That is knowledge. The antidote of avidya can be only vidya. Actions cannot give you that liberation. The last verse of today. संबंधिनो सतो नास्ति निवृत्ति सहजस्य तु कर्मक्षयात् प्रबोधाच्च निवर्ते क्रमात् उभे. As long as you are awake, your mind is there and used, the I would be there. When the mind is transcended, like the mirror is turned down, you keep the mirror down, you cannot see the face. When the mind is transcended, like the mirror is turned down, the eye is, that is what he had told before. Now the face is not seen anymore. There can be no freedom for the body. The body can die and be reborn. Body will never get enlightenment. That is why in the case of reflection of consciousness, only the water has been taken, the bucket has not been considered, or the sand has not been considered, because by itself the body is opaque. It can never get the reflection. Body will never get the reflection. Body will never get the enlightenment. So it is only the subtle body, intellect is referred when it comes to reflection. So the subtle body leaves the gross body, and it there is a transmigration which is taking place. It travels from birth to birth along with the samskara, and unless that one birth, one D-Day, when it gets liberated. What spirituality we learned now? The Bhranti can be got rid of only through vidya, through knowledge. What spirituality can do in this respect? By the sword of knowledge, one awakens from the bondage that I am a limited being. From that he gets awakened, and one gets free from the bondage and exist as pure consciousness, already explained to you. As far as the jivahood of the jiva, there is a natural connection which cannot be avoided. If a person stands in front of the mirror, he cannot avoid seeing his face on the mirror at all. Bondage with karmas, the body lasts as long as karma, okay, it cannot be avoided. And the karmas are exhausted, the connection ends. He's talking about the connection between the body and the karmas. Karmas have to end, then only the body will end, finally, without any rebirth. Due to the non-recognition of the self, this is due to the moha, delusion, the veiling power. There is avarna, vikshepa, we'll not get into it. Okay. This can be eliminated only by direct knowledge of the self. So, from where we start in sadhana, we will go step by step. We are coming to an end. We deal first with the third identification. By obtaining knowledge of the self, that is the I with the pure consciousness, we understand that our true nature is the self, not the ego, not the aham. I am not the aham, but I am the pure consciousness. Clarity of this should be there. Then we go with the second identification, body. By working on our karma, we weaken our identification with our body, and we can transcend our body. Step 3. Finally, we come to the identification with the reflected consciousness. When step 1, identification with the self, pure consciousness, and step 2, weakening body identification through working on the karmas, karma 1, karma 2, karma 3, karma 4 sessions given. enough for the whole birth. By working on your karmas, by channelizing your karmas, the identification of the body can go. If the first and two are achieved, the three finally, transcending the reflected consciousness, transcending the aham vritti, is becomes natural. The identification with the reflected consciousness, the aham vritti, it dies a natural death, peaceful, natural death. There is no more reflected consciousness, no more body, no more further transference, no more ahankara, nothing, no coming, no going, direct, abode of heaven, prashanti. The drawings merge with the pure consciousness. The outline of the drawings are erased. What remains is that integral, indivisible part of the pure consciousness. Summary. So the process is pure consciousness, intellect absorbs, reflects to sense, reflects to the aham, the ego, and then ego to the senses, body. All become sentient, apparently. The aham on one side, and from there, the mind, buddhi, and the memory, they all become active. Now, taking from the Chaukidar example, having absorbed the reflected consciousness, as long as one stays as pure aham brahmasmi, pure aham, he is closer to retracing, transcending the pure consciousness, reflected consciousness, and merging with the Bhagavan, merging with Lord, merging in that pure consciousness. But like the delusion of the iron ball, that I am the fire only, like he goes to the last leg of this transference process and takes up the body and says, I am this body. He goes far away from the realization, from the purpose. He gets bound by body, he gets bound by karma, he gets bound by reflected consciousness, he gets bound by his senses. The bondage is never ending. Like the Chakra Vyuha in which Abhimanyu was caught. In the Atma Nivedanam talk, Navavida Bhakti talk, in the Sakyam he would have told for sure, worth a recap, very appropriate in this context. He says, if being friend of Bhagavan, like Arjuna was with Krishna, if friend Sakyam, if being so close to Bhagavan itself is so beautiful, so wonderful, how it would be to exist as Bhagavan himself. Exactly. If the iron ball fire example, if the intellect bucket water and the sunlight example, if the reflected consciousness, with the reflected consciousness, I am able to use my intellect in a better way with discrimination, and I am able to lead such a nobler life, spiritually evolved, and it's such a wonderful feeling with my Shavana, Manana, Nidhyasana, Japa, Kirtana, etc. All this I owe allegiance to the reflected consciousness which has enlivened my ego and my further senses. Like if this is to be closer to God, if this is to be the reflected consciousness itself, being closer to the reflected consciousness itself is being so wonderful. My life is so spiritualized. Why can't I go a step further and transcend that this reflection and go and merge with the original pure canvas, pure consciousness? What it is to be Bhagavan daily walking on this Haikulvanthal. He has no authority to describe that state of Bhagavan. You have to imagine how it would be when you actually exist as Swami. Being reverential towards Swami for several births, what it would be to exist as Swami. If the reflected consciousness can fill my life with such vigor that I can hold on to the feet of the Acharya and take up all these sessions, all whichever Acharya, to hold take up and then get into the meditation, and my intellect has become so enlivened, the Chaitanya I am able to feel, then what it would be to transcend that reflected consciousness and go and merge with the original source. How beautiful. When that happens one day, how that day would be. How that day would be. When Swami says, I am in you, around you, above you, below you, it is all that consciousness which we are absorbing. The more and more we are able to experience in our meditation that Swami being around us, in us, to our right, to our left, to top, to bottom, that is the consciousness, Purnamada Purnamidam, Ishavasimidam Sarvam, Purushamevedagam Sarvam, Narayanamevadam Idagam Sarvam. When we are able to experience that consciousness pervading all over, and we getting our intellect absorbing that consciousness, what it would be to rend asunder this body, rend asunder this intellect, rend asunder this mind, the sense organs, rent asunder the process of absorbing. There is no coming and going. There is no absorbing and getting dried out. There is no question of vegetable getting hotter and then getting colder. There is no question of water getting hotter and getting colder. There is no question of the pan getting hotter and colder. Let me become the source of the fire itself, because even the fire can be put off. Let me become the source of the source of the source. And attain that kaivalya sthiti, and attain and exist as aloneness of self. Exist as what? As per the verse of the Ribhu Gita, without the least trace of thoughts. Exist, existing as pure awareness, self, in undiluted, concentrated essence of bliss. One exists upon transcending even the consciousness about this jivahood. He transcends even that, and he transcends the conscious of everything about the jivahood, and from the jivan mukta he attains and exists as videha mukta. That is about Dridrishya Viveka. There are further many verses, but if you cannot understand this, you are not going to understand any of the other verses. If you understand these 9 verses, you can live in this and take all others together for your lifetime. Hari Om Tat Sat. Many of you would have existed hypnotized. ये क्या हो गया हमारे साथ? वो क्या कह गए और हम क्या सुन लिए? Listen again. Contemplate, contemplate, contemplate. Jai Sai Ram.